Welcome to AMT Headingley for this another box 2 in partnership with Best Western Hotels GB. I want you to know that you can find the very finest, cheapest deals by booking direct with them online at bestwestern.co.uk. Now, it's amazing who you can bump into on game day walking around at AMT Headingley Stadium. I knew it was coming, but I'm so excited and full as always of gratitude to be able to see former teammate Chris McKenna, a Leeds Rhinos player between 2003 and 2005. We share some special memories. Chris, what are you doing over in Europe? You've been travelling around having a bit of fun. Tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah, it's my 50th year this year. So we had a big group of friends, about 30 of us. We hired a boat out, cruise around Croatia for 7 nights, a little luxury. It was just living the dream. So I thought, I only turned 51, so I might as well do it in style. And it was sensational.
Mate, you're looking well for 51. It was interesting. I did a bit of reflecting and thinking, and it's an amazing career, really, when you look back. The Australian side of the career, a little bit like Bedsy as well, came over, played a few years here at the Leeds Rhinos. But having been born in Brisbane, you played and started off at an unbelievable Brisbane Broncos team where back in those days when I was just a young kid, it was like watching the Real Madrid of rugby league. There was probably 2 teams in the world, Wigan and Brisbane, and they played in a World Club Challenge. I'll get to that in a minute. But then you come over to England, which was really interesting because bit of time at another Broncos team, London Broncos, via Sheffield Eagles, who I assume Gary Hetherington would have been in charge of at that time. Went home, South Queensland Crushers. You might not recognise that name because back then at that period in time, there was a Super League war on. And there was all kinds of teams popping up like the Hunter Mariners, for example. Brad Godden played here at the Leeds Rhinos as well. 118 games for Cronulla Sharks, which I suppose was the staple diet of your career, the team that you played the most games with. And then a 7-time Origin player as well with Queensland, which is amazing because you got to a zenith around that 2002 mark where you played for Australia. Decided to come back to Leeds between 03 and 05, where we had some real informative years before finishing off at Bradford and then having a short spell at Doncaster, retiring at back end of 2008. Chris, just tell us about your time growing up in Brisbane and then going to the Brisbane Broncos, because for me, it's a little bit like growing up in Leeds, playing for the Leeds Rhinos, but they were a mega team back then, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. And that was an absolute pleasure doing that because when the Broncos came in, the Brisbane competition used to be very strong comp. And then the Broncos came in 88. So I was at the age of around 14 and they were all the heroes of Wally Lewis, Gene Miles, Greg Dowling, Colin Scott. There was unbelievable players there. And for me to get picked in their development program at the age of about 15, it was great. And all the kids at school there always called me Christo Bronco. But the years they won their first premiership, they were always so close there. But 92, I was actually at the club. So I was still at school. I was playing in the under-21s competition. And in 93 as well, I made my first grade debut, but I wasn't quite good enough I was only 18 at the time, and I wasn't quite ready for first graders. And break into that team because the players I had there was probably 1 or 2 players that didn't play State of Origin, whether it be for Queensland or New South Wales, and just so many test players. And then when I did get my break, people asked me what my best break was in rugby league. And I said, Steve Renouf's foot. He broke his foot in the State of Origin. And I was playing the curtain raiser before the Origin in Queensland under the 19s team. And the next training session, Wayne Bennett's called me, said, you need to get yourself up to the academy. You're in the first grade team. I thought he was joking. I thought, what? No, don't be silly. He goes, just get up there. But no, that was an unbelievable experience. And then 94, as a 19-year-old, I cemented myself as a first grader, but unfortunately I already signed to go to the Crushers.
Right.
Because I saw no future there. I didn't back myself. There's quality players like Steve Renouf, Chris Johns, and these other guys in front of me, and I just didn't see myself breaking into that team. And the Crushers were coming in 1995, and I'd signed to go there back in 93. And I'm thinking, oh no, I'm playing first grade now. What have I done? But it is what it is. I signed a contract and I honoured that contract, and that probably wasn't the best years of my life, but it was a learning thing from going from one of the top teams being the Broncos back to we won the Wooden Spoon with the Crushers in 95, but 96 it was, sorry. But then luckily I resurrected my career and really hit my peak when I went down to Cronulla.
At the Shire. Just coming through, because I'm thinking about 10 years later, you're at the Leeds Rhinos in 2004. And that's a period in time where there's so many young players coming through. I think there's about 11 of the 17 that won the grand final come through the system. So when you're reflecting back on people like Walters, Alfie Langer, Wendell Sailor, some of those iconic names, how did they bring you up as a young player and introduce you into that stronghold?
But having guys like Kevy and Alfie and that, they were just so good. Like I see Alfie now, it's like you haven't seen him for like 15, 20 years, but it's like you've been together all the time. And they were just so good. Alfie, there was guys like Willie Kahn, Steve Renouf, they were just so good about bracing it because they had this solid group for so long. But then myself and Wendell Sailor, we started coming in. They really embraced it. And then after that, a lot of the older guys started retiring. A lot of the young blood like Brad Thorne, Johnny Driscoll, all that started coming through, and they just became a powerhouse in the NRL. So it's just great having those good leaders. They're so respected. They weren't stuck up their own arse. They're just good guys.
Awesome. And that time at the Crushers before then, you spend a little bit of time Sheffield Eagles, London Broncos. What was that like at that period of time? Because you're still a young man travelling to the other side of the world to play rugby league. Were they informative years for you? Did it help you to grow, mature? Oh,
without doubt. Like I was still only 18 years old when I went over to Sheffield, and I went there just because Billy Gardner was the coach at the time. He'd coached me Broncos under 21s the year before and started coaching me reserve grade, but then he got the opportunity over at Sheffield. And there was an off-season there. Rather than sitting around in the off-season in Australia, got the opportunity to go over, travel the world as an 18-year-old. I'm one of 11 kids. We never had 2 cents to rub together. So to get a flight over there for free and live with one of my teammates called Paul Carr, it was just a great experience I couldn't knock back. But unfortunately, I broke my jaw after four matches.
Wow.
I'd never tackled with my left shoulder.
Yep.
So that was a blessing in disguise for me. I remember one of the front rowers, he's charged it up. I put my head on the wrong side, bang, broke my jaw. And but it's a blessing in disguise. I went away that off season and just worked on my tackle technique and got that right. And I didn't break my jaw again until that knee of yours got me when I moved over to Bradford.
Wow. All the revelation coming out of the woodwork here. I've broke my jaw a couple of times, deliberately and by accident as well. It's not a very nice, pleasant thing.
Yeah, so that was a great learning experience for me. Being an 18-year-old, like after I broke my jaw, I just let my face settle down for a bit, travelled around for about a month and went back, had a really good off-season and built from there. The London Broncos, just another opportunity. I was playing at the Crushers at the time, and there was a big Broncos influence like between the London Broncos and Brisbane Broncos, and Barry Miranda was the head guy. And they just brought a heap of us Aussies over. There was like Paul Hoff, Terry Madison, Evan Cochrane, Willie, what was there? Ben Walker, Leo Denver.
Course,
So there were some unbelievable players that went over. Wow. Kevy Langer, that's Alfie's brother. It was just a great experience, and it was the best time of my life, to tell the truth.
Really?
Just going over there, they weren't professional then, so we'd go in and do our weights. The guys that weren't working, we'd do our weights in the morning, then we'd shoot off into the city, check out sites and whatever, and then come back and train at night time. And we just got to travel around that amazing city, and we'd have a few drinks during the week, early on in the week, and we had a really good time. But when it was time to play footy, we just get our footy heads on and just enjoy ourselves. It was just a great experience. And I turned 21 over that time.
Right.
And it is, the World Cup was on. I think we were at the World Cup final when I turned 21. So, it was just a great experience.
That's awesome. And obviously a part of your life that helped you to develop as a person. Because you don't, I suppose, in NRL, you won't get that too many NRL players coming over to this side of the pond, certainly at that sort of influential age, coming through a place like Brisbane. Obviously the game's changed certainly in NRL, but it looks like it paid dividends for your development and growth as a human. Yeah,
without doubt. And at that time too, that was the last off season there was, because you changed seasons due to the Super League. So I just thought it was a great opportunity. And for me, I was always a shy, introverted kid. So getting out of my comfort zone, traveling over the other side of the world, having to play with new players, playing to different coaches was great for my development, without doubt.
Well, you mentioned the Super League. Just give us a synopsis for that Generation Z. Those young people who might be in sort of the early 20s right now wouldn't remember what happened, because a lot of money flying around, conflict, different competitions. How did that affect you, and what went over at that? What do you remember about that period of time?
It was really, it wasn't a great time at all. Because
Right.
when I was at the Crushers, the late Darryl Vandervelde, he signed me to the Crushers, and I thought they were going to go to Super League.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they've turned around. So I signed Super League, thinking, yeah, we're going to be at the Crushers Super League. And then they've gone, no, we've gone ARL. So I've gone, hang on. I've signed Super League. You said you're going that way. Now you're going ARL. What am I going to do? Because I just moved over from the Broncos, and I couldn't go back to the Broncos because I wanted to split the talent up. And it was just a really messy time. And Super League didn't end up starting till 1997. So I had that year, 1996. Do I want to be with the Crushers when I'm on pittance money, because they signed me when I was a reserve grader, or when I could be on Super League money, triple what I'm on now? So it's a really hard time. And but as it works out, and I've always been a man of my word. I signed the contract. You got to stick to it. And there's too many people at that time were pulling out of contracts. Crushers lost a few players.
Right.
And I won't mention names, but they did not honour those contracts, and I didn't want to be like that. But it was really, like I said, I had a pretty bad year, probably because I was like down deep. I didn't really want to be there because I knew I wasn't going to be there the following year. It was just a gap year in 96. Like I said, we got the wooden spoon at the Crushers, and I only played about 13 games of footy that year, so I was in a great field on the field, time on the field for me. But so I went from the highs at the Broncos. I played in the World Club Challenge against Wigan, actually.
That's right.
That was a great experience for me, playing against some of the elite players and playing around the elite players, to getting the wooden spoon. And then I'm going down to Cronulla, and we played in the Super League grand final against the Broncos, nearly getting the silver spoon again. So you have your highs, you have your lows, but it's just about bouncing back.
All about forging character. Just really quick, when you played Wigan in 94, what was the perception of Wigan and that team back then from an Australian point of view?
Mate, they were always seen like they were the elite team. Like that's all they talked about. Your Chariots of Fire, Farrell, they're just some great players. And like I remember playing against them when I was at London Broncos, and Tui Gamala, I was marked up on. That was the scariest moment of my life, marking up on him. So they just had some legends. And I know a lot of the kids when I was coming through, they'd stay up and watch those big games Wigan played in, and they're just world-class players, whether they're English or they're from New Zealand or Australia going over there. Wigan was the ultimate team. For me to get the opportunity to play in that World Club Challenge, it was unbelievable.
And 97 Cronulla, you mentioned that there. Would you consider Cronulla to be the team where, if you was to, for example, it's a bit abstract this, but if you was to fall asleep and dream about your old days and some of your best memories, is the Cronulla kit the one that you often remember the most? Is that at the epicentre of your career journey, do you think?
Yeah, it is. That's where I played all my rep footy. Played for Queensland, Australia when I was there. That's my career took back off. I just felt like home. It's a bit like Wynnum. It's cut off by the seas, real community spirit.
Yeah.
There's no surf in Wynnum, but because we've got islands off there, but it just got that real community feel. Like they talk about the Shire, and that we talk about Wynnum Manly. There's just that real community feel. And there was a lot of local kids that came up through that system from the Sharks, very much like what you guys had here at Leeds.
Yeah.
But we obviously didn't have the success that Leeds have had over that time. But it shows that model works. You have a good group of kids, keep them together. Success can be built on that. But no, Sharks, I loved it. Whenever I go back down there, it's my home away from home. That's where all three of my children were born. And they call that home as well. Because then we came over to England. They lived here for another 6 years. So they didn't live in Brisbane for a number till they were 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, the oldest. So.
Home is home. And for those who might be, I don't know, maybe a generation older than me, grew up in the 80s, Andrew Ettinghausen played here at Leeds. He's well established in the tunnel and some of the pictures in and around the changing rooms there. Obviously a well-known figure at Cronulla. What was he like? I've never actually met him.
No, he's a great bloke, ET. We've got something in common. We were born on the same birth date.
Really? Wow.
But he's 9 years older to the day. So 29th of October. So, no, he's a good man. And he lived around the corner from me when I lived in Cronulla, and I got along pretty well with him. And he's still an athlete. So we've seen him a few times since I retired. No, he's a really good guy, but just so professional. He wasn't a big drinker. He's just so competitive. So competitive. Like he just would not, like I would be having sprint race all the time, and I'd be trying to beat him. He goes, don't think you can beat the old fella here. I did a hamstring trying to beat him, but he's just a really good guy, very professional. He taught me a few good things.
Yeah, it'd be good, mate. You'll have to drag him over next time you come UK to England, to Leeds. It'd be awesome to see him. And in that time there at Cronulla, you obviously achieved the heights of Origin, which is massive. You know, State of Origin's best rugby league game in the world, arguably, and also played for Australia as well. What do you remember about that period of your life coming into your best form?
Well, it's a really emotional thing playing Origin. Like, 'cause I remember what it was like being a kid when I'd walk into school the next day after we've lost an Origin, and I was just devastated. I remember being an 11-year-old kid walking into Iona College. We'd lost the Origin the night before, and I'm dead set kicking cans. What am I going to live for? We lost the Origin. What? If I ever get the opportunity to play for my state, I'm not going to let them down. And that's just the way the mentality is for Queenslanders.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone said, why has Queensland had such great success over the years over New South Wales, when arguably on paper, New South Wales has always got a better team. And I said, that's the way we feel as kids. I know that was me.
Yep.
And you don't want to let your state down. You got the pressure of that state. And I remember running out the tunnel at Lang Park, my first Origin debut. Just all this emotion thing. This is a culmination of everything I've worked on from 5 years old when I first stepped onto a footy field. And you run out onto the field and just the crowd going off. And I just remember just snorting up through my nose, just the atmosphere was just thick. Like, how good is this? This is everything I worked for this one moment. And they always talk about mate against mate in Origin. Steve, I've just got a blank. Jason Stevens, sorry. Jason Stevens is my front row. He was about 110, 112 kilos. He ran up off the second tackle of the game. He's run straight at me. I picked him up, put him on his ass. Yeah, this is what it's all about.
Class.
Yeah, so that was really good. But there's only 2 Origin series ever drawn. I played in both.
Yeah. So how did you kick cans or stones next day with that? How did you do with that in your mind?
No, we claimed it as a victory. So because we had the Shield the year before, so we managed to clinch those series.
Retain, it. You've got to get beats to get it taken off you. And you played for Australia as well, 2002, and then decided to come to England. So I mean, that's really interesting to me, because you come to Leeds, you know, to get an Australian NRL stars, an Origin player, to come to the UK at their height now, it'd be almost unheard of. So what was it that attracted you certainly to UK and to Leeds Rhinos?
We're actually based in the Super League year, the way the competition worked out. Like, you had English teams, there's 2 different parts. You had your domestic competition.
Yeah.
And then you had the Super League competition.
Yeah.
So it was like a World Club Challenge. So you had 4 Australian teams come over to England and 4 English teams go over there. And we're playing a little thing. And we were based in Leeds one of the years.
Yeah.
And we went out in Leeds, came down to Headingley. I thought, how good is this place? How good is this place? Because I've been to London, been to obviously Sheffield. I thought, if ever I get the opportunity to come back to England, I want to play in Leeds.
Excellent.
I thought, how good's this? And then just the way it worked out. Tony Carroll, very similar player to me, played second row and centre. He was leaving. I was looking for the opportunity to go over, and I went. But the reason why I went when I did, I was 28 years old, and I didn't think I was going to improve any more in footy. So in game 2 of 02 Origin series, I got voted man of the match in that match. For me, Origin, best against the best. So for that one night, I was the best player in the world.
Loved it. Love it. Love that.
I can't get any higher. For me personally, that's the highest possible moment I could get. And I'm telling you now, the only thing I hadn't achieved, so I played for my state, played for my country, been man of the match in an Origin. The only thing I hadn't achieved was an NRL premiership. And I'm telling you now, there's far better players than me, never won an NRL premiership.
Yeah.
Look at E.T., played 17 years at the Sharks, never won a premiership.
Yeah.
So, but the good thing is I managed to come over to Leeds. I didn't quite win an NRL premiership, but I got the Super League premiership and a World Club Challenge.
Certainly did. You had a lot of success in a short space of time here at Leeds, just reflecting. It is game day today, by the way, so if you can hear some songs going on and some stadium noise, that's because we're getting ready to watch the Leeds Rhinos this evening. 2003, Challenge Cup final, first year, Cardiff, didn't work out successful. An iconic game on reflection. I didn't play in that. I was 18th man. I remember the big yellow kit. I remember Chev Walker had that crazy afro at the time. Remember Matt Adamson breaking, I think, his cheekbone. It was World War, wasn't it, against Bradford? How did you take that defeat at the time?
It was pretty devastating. It was just a brutal game, tough game. And you see that, like, I know you're probably going to get onto it, but it's so disheartening when I look back on it. 2 Challenge Cup finals. One was 2 points apart. The other one against Hull was 1 point apart. So 3 points away from having 2 Challenge Cup rings on my finger. But it was devastating. But obviously you learn from that. We learned from that as a group. And we obviously got the job done with the Super League final for the next year. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was good with Tony Smith. That 2004 year was like nothing else. Finished top of the league, so league leaders, went to the grand final, played exceptionally well there as a team. I come off the bench in that game. And I was a passenger. I was just surviving, I tell you. But it was wonderful because it was the first time Leeds had won the competition in my lifetime. But I wanted
30
to ask,
years gap, was it?
Yeah, 30 plus, maybe 36. A long time, maybe 32. But I wondered, as an older player, you mentioned there, sort of you came over here around 28, you come in the back end of your 20s, you feel like you've reached some of the heights of your career. And then you sort of welcomed into this team, so many young academy graduates in there. How was that dynamic for you looking back? And I didn't know at the time because I was one of the young ones, but for you to nurture and encourage and help those young people grow?
Well, I loved it, actually. We had a good mix. Like, we had guys like Dave Furner, Matt Adamson, Marcus Boy, obviously myself, and Barry McDermott, Keith Senior. So there's a good mix. And then I remember the first kid I walked into in the gym when I flew in to Leeds. Walked in the gym, I thought this little fresh face, looked like about 15-year-old kid. And he's come up and he goes, "Hi, Chris, I'm Danny Maguire." and I'm really good close mates with Danny up to today. I had brekkie with him this morning. I'll catch up with him again tomorrow. But having him, two of my closer mates were so much younger than me. And that's just the way I was throughout my career. I just got along with a few of the young guys. Like when I was at Cronulla, I'd be helping out the under-21s, reserve grade, just building relationships with them. And Danny and Richie were two of my best mates when I was over here. And funny, I had my 30th at the walkabout in at Leeds there. And Richie Mothers had his 21st. So we're both born in October. So we had a combined 21st, 30th in there. So that was a great night as well. So, yeah.
Spent a fair bit of time at Boys this year, and it's been great, again, reminiscing. And certainly the 20-year anniversary, 2004, is this year. Next year, got the 20-year anniversary of 2005 when we beat Canterbury Bulldogs at Ellen Road. The new principal kit for 2025 has just launched, and it is almost a replica, a copy of the one that we played in that night. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet. I'll show you it, Chris. It looks outstanding, certainly for me, reflecting and reminiscing back. Brings back some good emotions, feelings, memories. But Ellen Road that night, for me, it was terrifying because it's Ellen Road, which is another iconic ground for me. Marching on together, all Leeds that way. And then we're playing against an NRL team, and I'd never had that experience before. And you always perceive them as being superhuman. But we started really well. We got off to a massive run in that first half. Sonny Bill and a fair few more in the second half. They come right back, nearly got us, but we got the job done on the night. What do you remember?
Yeah, I just remember, I was actually marked up on Sonny Bill that game. Right. So it was like the old ball, young ball. I never actually played against him in the NRL, but he's just a big monster of a guy. But I wasn't as silly as Marcus Boy. Marcus thought he could run over anyone. And this is back when you could do shoulder charges. I remember Marcus bringing that ball back, running straight at Sonny, and Sonny just going, whoop. And poor Marcus trying to get off the ground. And I said, "You silly little cummel." But Marcus is a great bloke, one of the toughest guys I know. There's a strap on the footy boots. But No, it was a really weird feeling. Like we just blew them out of the gates. We were just, how far ahead did we get? What was the
about
score?
24-6 at half time.
Yeah, it was crazy. I thought, no, would not have forecast that. Could have had that big lead. And then they just started coming back at us. But it was such a weird atmosphere. They've just gone, try. But thinking, is that a try? There's no noise. It's just like deathly silence.
Yeah.
Because obviously we had probably 99.9% of the crowd there. So I've never experienced that feeling of just having all the crowd. Because they scored a try. There's no noise. Is that a try or not? What's happening here? Yeah, so it's a really weird feeling. But luckily we could manage to cling on and be the top team in the world.
That's it. Again, the Zenith, the rooftop, and the new kit. Have you seen the new kit? Do you like it?
I saw yeah,
promo.
that thing you sent me through on the phone before. Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Looks sharp. Well, that'll get you one in. In fact, I think Chris is going to do a little bit today. You've got your heritage certificate as well to present at half time, which is nice. And actually, I don't know if you remember your first game for the Rhinos, but the heritage certificate has got your number on, which is how many players have played for Leeds since its inception in 1895. I'm 1309. But it's also got the front cover of the programme of the first game that you played in as well.
Oh, nice.
Which is a real special memory. I think mine was Wakefield back in 1999. Do you remember what yours was?
I think it was it Whitehaven, maybe? Whitehaven.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Challenge Cup. I remember
it was too.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty special and it's good to be part of. Wasn't expecting that.
Well, I'm looking forward to being a part of it. 2006, he went on to Bradford. I think he played over 50 games for them and then obviously finished off there at Donny. What do you remember about Bradford? It was interesting because they're the Bulls and Odsal, they're arch rivals. They're big. It's a bit like jumping from Queensland to New South Wales. How did you feel that experience at the time?
I enjoyed it. Like, I tell the truth. The guys at Bradford, we didn't have the success, but just the feel amongst the group, like guys like Joe Vungana, Shantae Harpy, Les Vanicolo, like Andy Lynch, they were just all good guys, like Jamie Langley, and mate, really good feel. We had a lot to do with each other socially, and I really enjoyed my time there, even though we didn't have the success.
Yeah,
I just do remember my last year there, playing against Wigan. And I had a knee injury, so I was just counting down the days I wouldn't train till like say Friday, Saturday, and then play Sunday. So we got out to a lead against Wigan. There's about 15, 20 to go. We're up by heaps. Thought, rest me up for the semi-final, the next round. One game to go to get into the final. And then all of a sudden, Trent Barrett just started running wild on us. And the momentum was gone. They put me back out in the last 5 minutes to try and help, but it's too late. And I was just sitting there, just gutted, thinking, my career's over.
Right. Well,
I've played my last game of professional rugby league because I was just stepping back to go to Doncaster to chase up a few business opportunities. But I was just devastated. I thought, wow, the money, we'd put the cue on the rack. We thought the game was over, and unfortunately, my Super League career was over.
We had a nice chat on the way in. And I'm just reflecting there because I'm in many ways still in that transition. I retired almost 5 years ago to the week. And, ever since you're sort of redefining who you are, what you want to become, where you want to go. And I guess for you, when you did finish at Doncaster, what was it that you wanted to do next? Where did you want to go? What did you want to become? And what have you since on reflection done in that time?
To tell the truth there's nothing. I should have planned better for retirement.
Right.
And I was chasing up a few sort of business opportunities away from footy with one of the sponsors over at Bradford, but unfortunately the GFC kicked in.
Right.
And I lost a fair bit of money, and I went running back to Australia with my tail between the legs.
Right.
Yeah, so it wasn't ideal. But when I went back to Australia, I ran the Winnamanly Seagulls, their rugby league academy. That's where I was from, Winnamanly Junior, and I wanted to help other kids if they were going to play the game. It's a brutal game, and I had a lot of head knocks, a lot of 2 broken jaws, 2 broken cheekbones, and due to not getting taught the right tackle technique from a young age. And arguably, Tony Smith was the best technical coach I've ever had. He really knew how to break his skill down and build it up and get better at it. But that's what I wanted to do, and I've got great job satisfaction out of that. Ran that academy for 8 years, and But I just thought all I'd ever done was footy, and I didn't want to be a head coach anywhere. And I just got a bit footied out, and I needed a new challenge. Rugby league was my comfort zone, and I always challenge these kids to get out of their comfort zone to be their best they can be. But I was being a hypocrite myself. So I decided to buy a business, just a roofing gutter guard business. And that was way out of my comfort zone. Doing sales, I thought of sales terrified me, but I thought I've got to face my fears. And then I went into real estate for a few years, and now I'm doing finance. I'm a business manager at a place called Brisbane Camperlands, sell Jayco caravans. And I'm just doing finance, insurance and warranty. So I'm enjoying the next challenge. So I've got to sort of, through my second 25 years, the next 25 years has got to help me set myself up for retirement now, make up for the sins of my past.
Sounds like you've got a good plan though. I mean, just chatting to you on the way in, you sound really content and happy with where you're at and what you're doing. And obviously you had a young family when you come over, and I imagine family life has grown too.
Yeah, the kids getting older. They're 24, 26, 28 now.
Wow.
There's no grandchildren in sight, which is a good thing at the moment, but I'll probably love it when the time comes. But as I mentioned to you earlier on, I've got my eldest son is intellectually impaired there.
Right.
So he'll be with us the rest of our days. And that helps you develop you as a person too. Just dealing with that.
For sure. And on that note, when you mentioned Tony Smith as a technical coach, who would you say has been the most influential person on your career, looking back?
John Lang would have to be, because I had him for 5 years. I give him the opportunity. Wayne Bennett was the first one that gave him the opportunity, and just had so much respect for him as a person and being able to get the best out of players. And he gave me opportunities in State of Origin and showed the faith in me. We'd lost 7 games on the trot at Cronulla, and he didn't pick me initially, but then someone pulled out. He gave me the opportunity there, and I remember saying to him, I said, Wayne, you showed faith in me. I won't let you down. And that's when I ended up going out getting man of the match. Excellent. In that match. So he's been very good for me, and he's a good person. But John Lang, he just filled me full of confidence. He didn't overcoach, and he just he knew what my strengths were, and he let me do what I was good at. So very good. But like I said, Tony Smith, technically, I wish I had him earlier in my career to get the technical part of my tackle technique and just basic skills. Yeah, I think I could have been a far better player if I had him earlier in my career. But everything happens for a reason. Yeah. I still had a pretty successful career, but I suppose you can't live with regrets and hindsight.
No, absolutely not. And I think you played a big part as an older player in that generation, but that generation also benefited from Tony Smith's tutelage, because we did get that benefit early on.
Yes.
And it stuck with us. I mean, you remember the oblique test turn?
Yes.
Some of the methodology that Tony Smith taught me and my group, we were still 10, 15 years later, still doing it right at the back end.
Well, I remember the first training session under Tony. Stand 3 meters apart. This is how we hold the ball, fingers and thumbs. Turn the ball down, palms face the sky. And you, as a catcher, chin height towards the ball, watch the ball away in your hands. Yeah. I thought, hang on, we got New Zealand, Australian, Great Britain internationals. We're getting taught how to hold a football. But he knew how to break the skill down. Yep. And that's why we're going to improve, get the skill right, and we're going to improve so much more.
Yep, doing the basics.
I learned a lot from that for what I've passed on to the academy back in Australia as well. So, but like I said, if I had been a bit earlier, who knows what could have happened.
Yeah, the basics exceptionally well. And because of that legacy, Chris, we had a lot of success. It's funny, the Challenge Cup eluded us for a lot of years. First team ever to lose 3 in a row, 10, 11, 12. Got it there 2014 in the end, 10 years ago this year. But did you continue to follow the Leeds Rhinos and watch and have interest in the club?
Yeah, without doubt. Not intently, but if I knew a game was on, I'd definitely sit down and watch it. Obviously, a big part of my club, my history. The only premiership I've ever won. And we've still got lifelong friendships from here. Both on and off the field, through kids' parents they went to school with, but definitely followed it without doubt. And you saw a lot of good players come over, like Danny Baderis and Brody Croft. Had something to do with his State of Origin under 20 squad. So there's so many kids you'd sort of touch and had something to do with over the years, or players you played with and against, and just to see how they go, because some people struggle with the transition when they go to the Super League, some people think it's just going to be so much easier. But that's not the case, because to some degree, you're probably not playing with the same quality players you got in the NRL. And if you're not switched on 100% for that challenge, you can get brought undone, which you've seen many times over the years.
Yeah.
But it's a great club to be part of, and I'm proud as punch of what we achieved there and the legacy that we helped play part of to be one of the most successful Super League clubs in history.
And next year, celebrating 2015, 2005. Don't know if you'll be able to get back, Chris, because it's a long way. I hope you can find a way. But it would be special, and we hope it'll be a great year, because there's been an upward trajectory, in my opinion, certainly since Brad Arthur come in. You mentioned people like Brodie Croft there. We're starting to see some of the best of their football, their rugby league, because he's got this conviction about who he is, and he's very old school, stoic mentality. He keeps talking about this off season. I'm really looking forward to seeing the boys have a pre-season. I don't know if you've watched much of this year, but do you see, you will have seen Brad Arthur in NRL there. Do you see Leeds having an uplift in 2025?
I think they've got to.
Yeah.
They've obviously underachieved, and for this facility you got here, it's sensational. And you're getting great sponsorship money in, and the club still got great supporter base. It would just be great to see them perform to their potential, to see because that's obviously going to amplify. Yeah. More money coming in the club, make it successful. I couldn't believe the facilities today, taking it around. This is up and well and truly past a lot of NRL clubs. What they've got to offer in corporate facilities. Yep. So they got everything put on a platter here. They've just got to perform on the field. And hopefully Brad Arthur's the one to do that for you, is get back on track and be a force like he's once were.
Good on you. Well, just to finish, I like to ask what books, if any, people are reading or listening to. Have you got any suggestions, or is it not your thing?
Books? Well, where do I start? I've got audible.com. I've got about 70 books on there. Brilliant. I didn't read a book since I left school, until I ran into a guy called Mick DeVere. He used to play for the Broncos.
Right.
And I did a few functions with him, and I loved the way he spoke. Just so intelligent, and I love what he's about. And I said, mate, how do you get like that? He goes, I spend an hour a day doing personal development. I said, personal development? What's that? He goes, I spend an hour a day just listening to podcasts, reading books, meditation, whatever it might be. I said, what type of people do you listen to? And he started rattling off these Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, and what, get those names. And that was the start of my personal development. And I thought, I wish I had that when I was playing footy.
Yeah.
And would have had, wouldn't have made some of the mistakes I've made. So just all those, I don't know where to start. I started on a few of those Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor, those books. But they all lead on to someone else. Yep. And you just get that thirst for wanting to develop yourself and better yourself, both on and off the field, and just being a role model. Like, you just get every part of life right. The spiritual side, get your diet right, get your physical right. And there's some good people there.
Good encouragement. First thing I do is get up, I read my Bible, I go for a run. If I do my weights 3 or 4 times a week, depending on where I am. When I'm running 4 times a week, I reckon I listen to a book. And if I was to throw one out there, the one I suppose at the beginning, I'm a lot of books past it now, was one called Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yes, I've been reading that I've listened to about 6 times in the last 6 months.
Really?
It's a great book.
Brilliant.
It's a great book. Yeah.
Just those incremental gains. And again, that self-development in the post-playing career is so important. It's almost like being a teenager again.
But I honestly think players throughout their career should be introduced to it from an early age.
Yeah.
I think that could really take them to the next level.
What do you like doing in your spare time when you've got a bit of time for Chris McKenna, apart from reading? What do you like to do for recreation?
Recreation, don't get too much time with that at the moment. Just chilling out with the family, having a few quiet beers, watching the footy. And I'm a family man. I'm one of those big social people, but we've got a close knit group of friends, and we just socialise there. A lot of them came up away on this cruise with us. My time out, chilling, is just sit back, having a beer, watching the footy. But not too many beers.
Amen to that. It's interesting. I spoke to Chris yesterday. I gave him a quick phone call, and we've not spoke for years, have we? Maybe 10, 15, potentially. And he picked the phone up and goes, Jonesy Mormon, answered the phone exactly like he would have done 20 years ago. And it's just a reminder, again, that gratitude and emotion and feeling and happiness around the people that I've played the great game with. The medals and the silverware are fantastic, but it's always the people that you went on that journey with.
And you've said in your notes there about Rob Burrow.
Yeah.
What was the first time I met Rob Burrow?
Yeah.
Or what memories of him? And just about, I've had a few close people in my life pass. Adam Maher played for Hull FC. He automated neurone. Paul Green, head coach, godfather to my daughter, MC at my wedding. But it's so important that people don't take the relationships for granted. Catch up more, get along to reunions. I had someone actually say to me, oh, do you go down the Sharks reunions? This was a number of years ago. I said, oh, no, I'm not really into that. And he said, it's not all about you, Chris. It's about what your presence means to these other people.
Yeah.
So I can't encourage more people to get along to those reunions because it's not just about you. And you just being there just touches so much people's lives. It's not just about the first graders. It's the under 21s, the reserve grade, whatever, everyone within that group. But I remember I played a game against Auckland Warriors and I had a big night out in the drink. Kicked on the next day. Over at Manly with a mate of mine, Jason Ferris. And I had this tiny little kid just come up to me, looking up to me like that. Oh, you're Chris McKenna, aren't you? I said, yeah, mate. Yeah, who are you? He just pulled me accent. And he goes, oh, I'm Rob Burrow. I play for Leeds Rhinos. You're coming over there next year. I'm going to be playing with you. I said, inside my head, I'm thinking, you're vertically challenged, diminutive little kid. If that's the standard of the comp, I thought, oh, wow, what am I going over there to?
Yeah.
And, mate, I couldn't believe it, what he was like. I thought, because I hadn't seen anything. I didn't look into what the Rhinos team was like. But he took his shirt off the first day of the dressing shed, ripped up to the max. I remember he was power cleaning 63 and a half kilos, but his power cleaning 105.
Right. Wow.
And just did that many, the chin-ups, the push-ups. It was just a freak. I've never seen anyone so quick over that 30, 40 metres. So for that, me meeting him the first time, thinking, oh, geez, if that's all you got to offer, you're a half. No, he definitely surprised me.
Yeah.
But he's just such a beautiful kid. Like I say, a kid, but he was a kid to me back then.
Yeah.
But it's always a big beaming smile on his face. And when I found out he had it, I just thought, no. But the fight he showed, I was hoping he would last long enough for me to get over and see him, but it didn't quite get there. But no, it's sad, but it just reinforces that don't take your relationships for granted. Catch up more. And because you don't know how much your presence means to people. You don't know when you're going to see him again.
No, absolutely. 23rd of June, 2024 will be a day I never forget because that reciprocated love and emotion. A bit like yourself there, listening to your mosaic, your memories of Rob. You know, we're seeing it times 14, 15, 16, 17,000 here at Headingley and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands worldwide. He's a special human being and he's made me certainly reflect. And I mentioned that word gratitude again. Thinking about Rob, thinking about yourself, some of those memories. And you know, I like listening to them stories because a lot of them are new to me as well. And life is a big mosaic, but you can't find out what those pieces mean unless you turn up and be a part of those reunions that Chris is talking about. Well, we've got an opportunity to have a little bit of a reunion. We've got a game to go to tonight. There's going to be a fair few players. Really excited about catching up with a few guys. Magsy and obviously Mathers will be there as well. But Chris, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on Box 2.
Pleasure to be here. And go the Rhinos.
Go the Rhinos. See you next time.